Okay, welcome everyone to Tech Thursday. We are coming live to you on Facebook, LinkedIn, and a couple different platforms. Double check here if the audio is working. Feel free to let me know if the audio is working for you. Would love to make sure that's working before we get too far into things. And check if this worked on Facebook tonight because it did not the last time. It looks like it is. Let's see if audio is working. Last time. Awesome. Okay, so the audio is working. And what we're going to do tonight is take a look at a Teams room setup that I have on my computer here. So what we have is a meeting that I am joined in with my Teams room system. And my Teams room system has a content camera set up. So if I fire up that content camera, what you should be able to see momentarily is my whiteboard behind me and the ability for the content camera to zoom in and only display the content on the camera. So let's turn that on again. Let it figure out where the whiteboard is in the room. You see the green outline for the whiteboard. And then what will happen is my Teams room system will be intelligent enough to go ahead and isolate the whiteboard for use in the meeting. And so what that should look like is the ability for me to stand in front of the whiteboard and still make content available to you. So Teams room system. And typically what would happen is when I'm standing to the side, you can see that, but when I'm standing in front of it, you're unable to see it. What a Teams room system will do with the content camera, which is in preview right now, is actually make the whiteboard visible once you're in the Teams room meeting here. So let me enable it one more time, see if we can get that working. There's the green to indicate the zoom in for the Teams room system. And now instead of the information being invisible when I stand in front of it, I can stand in front of the content on my whiteboard. And as long as it's had a chance to figure out what the whiteboard says, that content stays in place even when I'm standing in front of the whiteboard, which is a really nice feature and is enabled by leveraging the content camera, which is in preview for a Teams room system. So this is a great new feature that lets me use a content camera within my meetings. And so when that important information goes up on a whiteboard, instead of you just being kind of left out because I'm standing in front of the whiteboard, now even when I'm standing in front of it, you can see the information that was presented, just like peeking around me in a physical meeting room. So one of the other things that we can do with the content camera capability within Teams rooms is define these rooms within Teams. So let me change my video here, make it a little bigger. And I'll show you how I hacked one of my computers here. Let's see if I can do this easily within my meeting, or if I need to do something else fancy here. Here we go. I need to do this within Restream, not within the other app. So here you can see that I have a Surface Pro 8. And the Surface Pro 8 has two USB-C ports and typically runs Windows 11. So what I did with this particular Surface Pro 8 was I used a docking station, which is my Logitech Smart Dock, one of the supported docks for a Teams Room console, essentially a Teams Room that you build yourself. And I was able to re-image the Surface Pro 8 with a Windows 10 Teams Room console edition, and then build this into my environment as another Teams Room that I can leverage. So I get the Teams Room experience on the device. I can leverage settings on the device. I have a keyboard and I can use a Surface Dock as the docking mechanism. I can go in and I can take a look at the device and the peripherals that are attached and do a lot of troubleshooting right from this device. And then join meetings or add this to a meeting. So if I wanted to add this to the meeting that I'm in right now, I could go to my meeting, share my screen here, go to my participants, and I can see that my Hall of Justice system is in here, but we could add my Legion of Doom device. And then this device will get a request to join. We'll go ahead and mute and turn down the music or the speaker. And now I'm in that same meeting from my Surface Pro 8 that I'm on from my other Teams Room device. And we have all of these devices kind of sharing the meeting experience. I also have now a front row preview where remote video can be brought into the Teams Room experience on additional monitors along the bottom, giving a more inclusive feel to remote participants. So what that looks like, if I can figure out my various video windows here, I'm using two video cameras. I have the video cameras on the devices themselves. I have external devices with video so that I can move that around and show you different things within my space here. It's probably going to put the Legion of Doom out of my meeting here temporarily, but I can show you what the setup looks like on my actual devices here. Let me see if I can make this. I think I can actually switch my video in Restream to fix this. So we'll do the front camera. We'll see if that works. Nope. It's probably because it's in use in the Teams meeting. So let me leave the Teams meeting from that device. See if I can switch over here. Should there be an OK button here for video? Okay, there's my 3D. There's my regular camera. Perfect. That's what I want. There we go. So now you're able to see the three screens that I have. And so when I choose down here on the main screen, it looks like I might be getting some video feedback. Hopefully that's not coming through the broadcast. I have the ability to turn on front row. which means on my external monitor, I get the video along the bottom. So you might be able to see that over here, kind of in the corner. And then when I share the content screen, so I have two video cameras, one here and one here. The video content screen can be shared and it figures out where my whiteboard is again and should zoom in on that aspect of the room. So here is my whiteboard. It's trying to figure out where the whiteboard is. Hopefully it has an opportunity to do that, and then there, it's already done it. It's figured out where the whiteboard is and made it where I can't cover up the whiteboard with different, my body, my hand, whatever is in front of the whiteboard doesn't actually cause a disruption in the meeting. So this is the Logitech device that I used to set up my Surface Pro 8. The Surface Pro 8 isn't designed to go in the Smart Dock, but because the Smart Dock uses a standard Surface connector to make all of the device available, I was able to use that on the Surface Pro 8, just re-image it as a Teams Room system. And then because it's a Teams Room functioning device, as Legion of Doom, I can connect that to external devices, cameras, and the like, and leverage that as a second Teams Room system now. So this has made the meeting experience really flexible. And I have a lot of different options now for the ways that I go live on video. I can leverage the Teams Room in my meetings. I can leverage functionality like the Restream application and use that within a Teams meeting that I might need to join. And I can also leverage the Teams Room as a standalone device. So I can go in using that device. Tech Thursday is all about sharing different technology that I have acquired or experience with. And here is yet another device that is Teams certified that I have been using for quite a while. This is a Yaylink Mp 56 phone. And the phone itself has a dial pad, like a traditional phone, a handset, as well as microphone capabilities. And because my account is set up for PSTN or public switch telephone network dialing, I can actually use the device to dial into various meetings from this device. So if I wanted to call my cell phone, it's easy to pick up the phone, dial 1-847. Let's see here. There we go. Go back. 847-452-8688. Call. And now in a second, my cell phone is ringing with my call. Now, while I'm in this call, I have the capabilities of transferring the call or doing different things within my Teams headset. So I have these capabilities, but I can also transfer this call to a different device, like my Teams client on my computer. So if I go back over and share my screen there, you can see I'm on the call with my cell phone here. I can bring up my Teams client and I can join my call right from the top. You'll notice my screen says, if I zoom in here, let's see if that zoom takes effect in the meeting or not. Hopefully that does, where you can see I'm in a call. and I can join from this device. And so I can transfer to this device, dropping it from my headset, or I can add this device. One of the benefits of going in with this Teams device is I've also set up my tenant to allow me to record conversations between the PSTN or my cell phone and my Teams client. So I actually have the capability here to record this call with my cell phone using Microsoft Teams. And this at this point was a PowerShell script to run on my Teams tenant to allow me to record incoming phone calls from cell phones or the public switch telephone network itself. That capability was not there before I ran that script and waited for it to take effect in my tenant. So these are just some of the things that I plan to cover on Tech Thursdays. I also have a channel that I'm debating whether that becomes part of either Tip Tuesday or Tech Thursday, or if it becomes yet another channel that I leverage, and that's called Cooking with Teams. And the idea of that is to take physical devices like my Surface Pro 8 and walk you through the setup of things like a Teams room system and deconstruct how I can turn devices into maybe different use cases or leverage them in different ways than maybe they were originally purposed for. So Cooking with Teams remains to be seen how I introduce that to this channel or an additional YouTube channel. I'm going live on Facebook as well as LinkedIn and Twitter. So hopefully folks have an opportunity to see this from there. Let's take a look. Brian Jones has joined us. Welcome, Brian, Ralph. And who else? It looks like, but it needs to read it first before it makes it available after you cover it. Excellent. And I think that might be referring to, Ralph, I think you might be referring to the LinkedIn side of things, or maybe Restream. And Brian asks, does the AI only sense whiteboards at this time while in preview, as opposed to white chalk on a blackboard? Great question, Brian. I have not played around with that. What I could do, and I'll do this and get back to you, is within my computer, I could likely play around with the whiteboard app, Microsoft Whiteboard app, and invert the whiteboard to mimic a blackboard. So instead of white on black, I can go to the format background and make the background black, and then maybe use like a white or even a gray pen and see if the content camera can deal with the white on black and the black on white. I would imagine it can, but I'm not sure in preview if that is something that is available yet. Great question. So the nice thing about this is Restream lets me see the messages coming in, but I don't think it allows me to reply from Restream at this point. It does allow me to reply to YouTube comments and Twitch comments, which I'm live on as well, but it doesn't look like Facebook and LinkedIn are two-way communication at this point, but I can see the chat messages coming in. So with this, we've taken a look at a couple different things. We've taken a look at Teams room systems, or the Teams console capability, Teams room consoles. And the setup for that, if I can get a browser open here and drag it over to this other window. Teams room console was just a build a Teams room image and a process that I went through and a script, PowerShell script that I ran with the Windows 10 installation. I ran this on my Surface Pro 8. I ran it on a Surface Pro 6. I ran it all the way back to a Surface Pro 3 successfully to make some different Teams room systems available to myself. And then with that set up and the dock that is supported, I was able to set up those Teams room systems and then either leverage them in the dock or a dock of my choice. I've tested a couple of the docks that I have that are not the Logitech dock that is on the supported list. And that was super successful, really easy to set up. Once I had all those prerequisites like the Windows 10 image available. And then we've also looked at my Teams phone that I hung up my call from. So I had my Yaylink device here. If I stop sharing my screen, my video should go large again. I use my Yaylink device to make and receive calls. This attaches to my network. So the network is what actually powers this device up. So when I plug it into my network, the device boots. So it's getting power over Ethernet or PoE. And then we also looked at my Teams room systems that I have set up in my home office. So those are devices that are running on, at this point, Surface devices. So I've left my case open at this point on my Logitech Smart Dock. And then you can see that I have the content camera here. And I've got my secondary monitor kind of sitting behind it. And the secondary monitor, if I've got enough room here, or if I can move this out of the way, you can see that I've got the front row preview there set up to show my video. So you can see hopefully my hackathon shirt, both while I'm standing in front of the whiteboard over here, and the content camera lets me see through that, as well as my video, which is coming from a separate video camera. I have the two video cameras here. The Logitech Brio is a certified content camera for the preview. And then this is the Microsoft Modern webcam that I ordered for Teams. It's a Teams certified device. The other device that I'm using is a Creative Labs device that supports Windows Hello authentication. So I purchased this quite a while ago before my devices had Windows Hello built into them so that I could use Windows Hello to authenticate to my computers. So it's getting new life as I start thinking about different ways to stream and share this information with you on LinkedIn Live, YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter, wherever you find yourself. I'm also on Twitch. So I'm on 5 separate networks streaming live from my home in DeKalb, Illinois. The other thing, if you haven't seen on my LinkedIn or my Twitter, I don't think I've posted this to Facebook just yet. On February 1st, I received an email that I had been hoping would come at some point, similar to the Academy Awards or a record deal award where you're either best new artist or best album of the year or best something. I became a most valuable professional for Microsoft, an MVP, on February 1st in Office apps and services. So one of the things that allows me to do is give back to the community in various ways. I can make videos like this. I can go live on different platforms. I have the ability to give feedback to the product teams. And as I am onboarded as an MVP, I'm sure I'll find out all the other things that I either have access to or are privy to. Some of those are NDA conversations that I can't share publicly, but I can give Microsoft feedback from customers in what they would like to see maybe next in these platforms, like the content camera or Teams room systems, that type of thing. And with that, I thank you for joining me this afternoon. Hopefully you have learned something on this Tech Thursday, and we can convene again at some point soon on these various platforms. John asks or says the stream looks great. I am a big fan of Restream as well. I have a StreamYard account still and have played around with that, but haven't looked at everything related to StreamYard. The reason I moved over to Restream was StreamYard had some limitations on how many platforms I could go to without upgrading to the next level of the subscription. So I think I'm at a point to make a decision to stick with Restream. There's a couple other services that work with LinkedIn Live, but Restream's been really, really helpful from a standpoint of leveraging these different platforms, going live in Teams, live events, which is another thing that I do in my Teams administrative classes that I teach. So I think one of the two platforms is enough for going forward. But I appreciate John, Brian, Ralph joining me live. This will be available on many of those platforms for viewing after this afternoon on Tech Thursday. Hopefully you can join me for Tip Tuesday next Tuesday, Tech Thursday next Thursday, and we'll figure out how that cooking with Teams thing either goes into one of these channels that I already have, or if I create a brand new channel for cooking with Teams. And have a great afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining. See you later. Trying to remember if I have one of these that doesn't have a camera intro on it. But most of them have a camera intro, which is not what I'm looking for. I need to create an outro one. Take care, everybody.